pull up on 3? Okay.
Good morning, Austin, and welcome to the Atheist Experience. My name is Ray Blevins, my co-host Joe Zamecki, and this week's guest, Jeff D. We usually like to start the opening the show here with any announcements here at Atheist Community of Austin. We meet every Sunday at the Hot Jumble Bakery at West 5th and Lavaca. It's free and open to the public. We always like seeing new faces, so you're always welcome to come on down there. We are having our quarterly blood drive coming up, October 17th. If there's any atheists out there, you don't even have to be part of the group. If you're in medical trouble there, you need any help there, feel free to call our voicemail and we will help you out any way we can. The other announcement is our trip up to Comfort, Texas has been postponed. And at this point we don't have any other new date set, so as soon as we do hear anything we'll definitely announce it here on the show and our newsletter. And I'm thinking that's about it for announcements on our group. And do have a couple articles here that showed up in the News of the Weird that I'd like to share with you here. The first one here in June, a gentleman, Rob Sherman, prominent anti-religious media activist around Chicago, known as the Atheist Guy, was charged with misdemeanor domestic battery for allegedly punching his 16-year-old son. Sherman told reporters he was disciplining the boy for refusing to do his chores and merely wanted to put the fear of God into him. Not all atheists really understand the point there. We love the humor involved in that, and we do apologize to his son there. We don't believe in violence in any way, even if it's in the name of God, especially, I guess, would be in the name of God. The other article in the News of the Weird that was quite interesting was 11 men ranging from 17 to 62 were charged in May with sexual assault and incest in a Hutterite, thank you, religious sect community near Calgary, Alberta. Among the sentences meted out was one to a 31-year-old man who had relations with his daughter and another woman, and who attributed his lapse to a feeling of excessive confidence after being made boss of the community's pig barn. I guess it went straight to his head, and he should probably be living there in the pig barn himself there. But just want to let you know how some of the silly people that are in religion. Joe had a couple articles he'd like to share with us, didn't
you? A couple of things. I guess I could start off with a joke, keep it a little light-hearted here.
Sure.
Jesus was sitting in the marketplace when the mob approached, dragging a young woman in their forefront. "Master, this woman has been taken in adultery. She must be stoned to death in accordance with our law." "Very well," said Jesus, "let whoever among you is without sin cast the first stone." There's a pause and confusion, shuffling of feet. This was not exactly what the mob expected. Then from the rear of the mob came a solitary stone that struck the woman in the forehead, falling her down. This was not exactly what Jesus has expected. He stood up to look for the source of the stone, and he found it. And he found a child in the back in the crowd saying, "Mom, sometimes you piss me off." Okay, starting that off there.
Sure.
That's from American Atheist newsletter, August. That's out too. Also, now another skip around the world a little bit. The Freethinker from England. I often like to read from this if you watch our show. If ever there was a tragic comedy, this must be it. A Russian immigrant who died 5 years ago in Israel was exhumed because rabbis decided he was not Jewish and regarded his burial in the local Jewish cemetery as a disaster. I suppose this was in Israel. The man's stepdaughter insisted that he was Jewish, but carried no weight when his widow was caught eating a sandwich with cold meat and dairy products, a violation of kosher rules. So his very unkosher body had to be exhumed. There was another one here. The two sisters, Kate and Lily, not Kate and Allie, for all you fans, Kate and Lily were sent to the orphanage when their mother died and their father couldn't cope. A very different story comes from Oakland, California, where two devout born-again Christian parents sent their 16-year-old son David into exile because he didn't attend church and was independent and assertive. Terrible. Quote, "We were looking at a teenager who did not want to cooperate," said his mother, "because of the rebellion and the rejection of parental authority," said his father. "It was almost like he wasn't our kid anymore. David was therefore forcibly taken to a private psychiatric hospital 700 miles away and then flown 3,500 miles to Jamaica, where he was placed in a strict behavior modification facility called Tranquility Bay. Mr. and Mrs. and they show the name, I'm not going to read that. They have authorized the use of pepper spray or electronic disabler, mace, mechanical constraints, and handcuffs if necessary to preserve tranquility. The family that prays together stays together apparently has its negative side."
Say the other one.
Yeah,
we'll come
go
back
ahead.
to that. Okay.
Thanks.
Today is September 13th. We are live. That is our telephone number. We'll be taking your calls. You see, today's title is Bible Babble, and that leads us to Jeff D., and he did some research here that I'd love for you to share with us.
Yeah, I found this this information on a website called Why Christians Suck. Now, clearly, there's a negative attitude here, but I don't think that really can cast any doubt on the information, because this is a list of all of the people, according to the Bible, either killed directly by God or at God's orders. And I'll just read what they have to say here. Please don't say this is the Old Testament and doesn't apply to Christians. Jesus is God, right? And if it's in the Bible and you're a Christian, you have to believe it's true. My apologies for the lack of chapter and verse notation. At the time I was reading the Bible, I never thought this happy little list would ever be seen by anyone but myself. The effort required to look up each and every incident is too much for someone with a limited amount of time, such as myself. And no, I don't hate God because he killed a bunch of people. Do you hate Freddy Krueger because he killed a bunch of people? You cannot hate things which do not exist. The number of dead is, if stated, is listed. And he's also marked his personal favorite acts of God as far as meanness and utter disregard for innocence or guilt. Anyone who thinks TV is violent should read this book. The random unjustified slaughter is amazing. Okay, killed by God. Drowned everyone in the whole world except for Noah and his family, unknown number. Saltified Lot's wife, 1. Burned all of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah except for good Lot, who offered his virgin daughters to a mob of men and then slept with both of them himself later, unknown number. Slew Judah's firstborn son, 1. Er's brother, Onan, 1. The firstborn in all of Egypt, unknown number. Drowned the Pharaoh and all of his gang in the Red Sea, unknown number. Nadab and Abihu for making a fire, 2. Burned some Jews for complaining, unknown number. Sent a plague against Jews for being greedy, unknown number. Sent a plague on Jews who had chosen land, who gave the chosen land a bad report, 11. Korah and other Jews who didn't like Moses, unknown number. 14,700 sent a plague on Jews, apparently for the hell of it. Sent serpents on Jews, many. An unknown number of Philistines. Jews who looked in the Ark of the Covenant, 50,070. Nabal for scorning David, 1. Uzzah for touching the Ark when trying to keep it from falling, 1. I haven't been pointing out the particularly nasty ones. I'll start doing that now. David and Bathsheba's child, 1. That's marked as particularly mean.
His favorite, his personal favorite.
One of this guy's favorites. 70,000 sent a pestilence because David sinned. That's marked. Sent fire down on Ahaziah's men, 102. Sent bears to kill children who mocked Elijah, 42. That one's marked. Sent lions to kill invaders, unknown number. 185,000 Assyrians and 80,000 bad Israelites. Now that's the ones killed by God personally. Now here are the ones.
And who is this God person anyway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn it.
Here are the ones killed on God's orders by the Jews. Jacob's sons killed every man in Shechem, unknown number. Jews worshipping the golden calf, 3,000. Man gathering wood on a Sunday, 1.
A star.
That
Very
one's
bad.
marked. An unknown number of people in Canaan. An unknown number who took the city of Heshbon from the Amorites. All of the people of Bashan, unknown number. 24,000 Jews who followed Baal. All Midianites except for the virgin girls, unknown number. Everyone in Jericho but Rahab, a hooker who betrayed her city, unknown number. Achan and his family who had nothing to do with it for stealing, unknown number. Everyone in the cities of Ai, Makkedah, Libnath, Jarmuth, Gedor, Hormah, Arad, Adullam, Bethel, Tapua, Hefer, Apheth, Lasharon, Madon, Lasnach, Megiddo, Kedesh, Jokneam, Dor, Goim, Tirzah, and all of the Amorites, unknown number. I probably mispronounced some of those, I apologize. The men of Bezek, 10,004. The people of Jerusalem, Seshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, unknown number. The people of Zephath, Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, and the king of Moab, Eglon, unknown number.
And but he doesn't give any reason for what all these cities, does it? And I'm curious what the reason is. I'm sorry.
There were military reasons. The army of Sisera and the men of Karkor, unknown number. Jephthah, destroyed 20 cities, unknown number. Samson killed 30 men who solved his riddle, the Philistines, and tons of people when he died, unknown number. 50,100 men of the tribe of Benjamin. The tribe of Jabesh Gilead, unknown number. The Ammonites, the Philistines, and the Amalekites, unknown number. 331,269 people who David killed. Solomon killed a few people too, 3. All of Jeroboam's extended family, unknown number. All of Baasha's extended family, unknown number. Prophets of Baal, 450. All Jewish Baal followers, 793,000. 127,000 Arameans. 1 man who wouldn't strike a prophet. An unknown number of Moabites. Jezebel, Ahab's sons, Joram, their parents, and their friends, 172. Ahaziah's relatives, 142. All of Baal's followers, unknown number. Athaliah for killing her sons, 1. Matan, the Baal priest, 1. Edomites and 2 servants, 10,002. All of the pregnant women in Tirzah, unknown number. 20,000 people who Hezekiah killed at God's order. Israelites killed each other, 500,000. 50,000 Ethiopians. 23,000 Seirites. Haman's army of 510. And more of the army totaling 75,300. So, The grand total comes to more than 399,933 people personally killed by God, going only on the numbers listed in the Bible, not counting, say, the entire population of the world at the time of Noah, 3 cities, and other things that are not enumerated in the Bible. And more than 2,017,956 people killed by the followers of God on his orders, not even counting the 65 cities they destroyed without seeing fit to give any numbers. Oh, and we don't want to forget, Satan killed Job's children after God told him that he could. Unknown number. Woohoo, what a bad guy in comparison with our just and merciful Lord.
Yes.
You know, a lot of Christians claim that's a dead issue, but you brought it back to life.
That's an excellent point. These are the ones that are just in the Bible. It doesn't count the ones that are being killed today. The Christians and the Protestants and all that are fighting.
Were killed in the Spanish Inquisition.
Or, yes,
Crusades,
Well,
witch
that's
hunts.
all. I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition.
Thank you, Alex.
We are live September 13th, and we will take your calls live on the air here. That is our number there. We'd love to hear with someone out there that actually believes the Bible is 100% true, fact, all the way down the line.
And still worships God.
And still worships God. Yes, and can honestly believe that. So, seeing how we're talking about death, though, that brings up an interesting caller last week who said that nobody attended Benjamin Franklin's funeral. We have since done research, and that was one of the largest funerals attended by, there was over 20,000 people. He was Philadelphia's favorite son. So whoever that caller was, I almost let that slide by last week. It was towards the end of the show, and I didn't get a chance to refute it. So I'm refuting it now. There was over 20,000 people at Benjamin Franklin's funeral. You had some death articles too, didn't you? You'd like to share?
Yeah. A couple of things.
The one about circumcision.
Okay. This is, again, I'm referring back to it, American Atheist Newsletter, August 1998. Kosher cut-ups and kosher cut-ups. Kosher cuts, anyone? In Israel, the issue of circumcision of the dead has become a hot topic as Orthodox religious authorities tread into the most arcane areas of human existence. The latest issue to divide enlightened secular Israelis and the country's fundamentalist Jews involves charges that burial societies have been circumcising dead bodies even without informing the relatives. The burial societies are under the control of Israel's powerful Orthodox rabbinate. In addition, all religious burials are funded by the state, while private civil ceremonies are expensive. So any male taking advantage of the free government funeral makes the final cut, so to speak, whether they or their family approves or not. Simply put, the Orthodox rabbis will not bury uncircumcised men or male infants without performing a circumcision, for which they reportedly charge a handsome fee, of course. An influx of immigrants into the country meant that the government was spending tens of thousands of pounds on circumcision. That's tens of thousands of dollars to us here. Let's see. Surveys indicate that at least 1/4 of the immigrants weren't even Jewish. In that fabulous British style, The Telegraph, the newspaper in Britain that reported this, they noted, anatomically, it seems, it is a question of too much rather than too little. I'm sorry, I didn't make that joke.
That's all right.
I did have one more, though, about burial. Oh, but you have a call?
Yeah, we do have a caller.
Well, let's go to a call.
All right. Let's go to Tim.
Hey guys,
Good morning.
man, I'm starting to really love y'all's show.
I appreciate that.
You know, you call every week, too, don't you?
Y'all have been calling for the last several weeks, and y'all did a really great job. I got a hats off to you on the evolution stuff, where y'all did the natural selection as opposed to my horrible theory of radiation mutating genes.
Right.
Y'all did great. I mean,
Thank you.
and
No, we didn't.
education, I think, is great. I mean, if y'all took a little of the hatred edge off, it might be a little better. But I mean, I really appreciate that you're challenging people and making people think.
I appreciate your comment there. Any comments on today's topic?
Yeah, one thing I want to throw at y'all, and if y'all can help chew my theory up again.
All right.
I mean, but just kind of take a little of the edge. I don't hate y'all guys, and I don't want y'all to hate me. And the hate stuff, you know, the horrible, you know, the jokes are kind of funny, but
All right.
I'm an open-minded Christian. But one thing I want to throw at y'all, the thing that really is going to be tough for y'all to overcome. If y'all can go back to the parable of Jesus and the fig tree, that is a really tough one to overcome. The prophecies and the revelations in Daniel.
You got to refresh my memory. I'm sorry.
Well, when Israel is reborn as a nation after 2,000 years of persecution, which happened on May the 10th, 1948,
Correct.
started what was called the end times.
All right.
And the end times prophecies are about a third of the New Testament.
All right.
They are real good, and if you guys can chew those up somehow and make it seem where Israel coming back as a nation after 2,000 years is an incredible miracle, or how that could be a coincidence.
Okay. From my understanding, this says within a generation. And if you go, wait, let me finish. And if you go through the Bible, the average generation is 40 years. So we have gone through 40 years.
Well,
And the end times has not happened.
Actually, it says when the Jews returned to Jerusalem.
It says within a generation.
Yeah, when they turned to Jerusalem, they didn't have Jerusalem until 69.
You just said May 10th, 1948.
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, you know, it's a up in the air kind of thing where they're actually taking Jerusalem, which they never had until 69. But a generation, as average then, was 40 years. But I mean, generation now is 70 years. I mean, there's a lot of things that variables there.
Go ahead, Jeff.
A generation is not a person's lifespan. It's the amount of time it takes them to make a kid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually.
So,
About 20 years usually.
Well,
what they
it's
say.
not a set in stone number anyway. You look.
Well,
at it.
there's your answer right there. You're saying you're basing a prophecy on something you can't even pinpoint down an exact time.
none of these numbers are
Well,
set in stone.
also
and
Christ. Well, another
Ma'am?
rebuttal to that would be Christ said within basically a generation the walls of the temple in Jerusalem would be down within a generation, and you know, Jews will argue, well, there's still a couple of rocks out there now.
Well, he
but if
also-
your house burns down, you know, and the fence is still there, you say, well, my house burned down.
Well,
Didn't Jesus
Jeff has a
also
point.
tell his followers that they themselves would still be alive when his kingdom arrived on earth?
Exactly.
And that didn't
Well, he
happen.
definitely
So-
set it up where they were thinking that this was going to happen real quick, and obviously it didn't happen real quick. But what it does say is when these signs come together, this generation will not pass.
But the Bible is all full of vague claims, like you're playing with right now. You're saying, well, you know, oh, there's this prediction of 2,000 years, and that's when Israel came into existence. But then there's this extra gap of 20 years before they get Jerusalem, so that throws your 2,000 years off. And you know, you're just playing with numbers to try to make something seem meaningful.
Well, there's a whole
In fact,
ton
none of the
those,
numbers are hard and fast. It's all just interpretation.
Well, there's a
Then
whole
Joe has a
I've got
point.
one.
Joe has a point.
Jesus said that the Jews will be coming back to the Holy Land to take it for God. Wouldn't it make more sense if he had also said that people who follow me will be in the extreme minority in that situation, and the Jews will be the majority, and they will not allow religious freedom in that swirling area of war? And he also never mentioned that people will kill each other over God and over Jesus, and it will be looked upon as being good. A good idea. Well, why didn't he mention that? I would have.
That's definitely happening right now, wouldn't you think?
In Israel, sure.
I mean, religious freedom is definitely getting narrow. That's why I would hope you guys would keep an open mind on this one thing, because with Clinton and all this national ID stuff and the implants, you know, biochip implants, doesn't that kind of scare you as something that if that passes, man, I swear I'm going to be running to church and I'll say, God, I know there's some stuff in the Bible that I don't agree with, but
Implants.
man, I don't want to implant, and I don't want some Satan European leader to, you know, the euro dollar. Oh man, that scares the crap
You're
out of me,
interpreting
guys.
again. The Bible does not say implants. The Bible, people who wrote the Bible have no grasp of
Chips.
electronics
Well,
or
yeah, it's a 4,000-year-old
bioengineering.
guy trying to
Yeah,
describe that.
It's a mark. You know, and back in those days, it was very clear what a mark was. They'd come and brand you, or they'd tattoo you or
you.
something. It was everybody knew exactly what that was, and
Right,
here
that's
you're
how-
interpreting it. Well, wait a minute. Here you're interpreting it because there's something vaguely similar that might be actually happening in the next few decades. That therefore this prophecy is coming true. That's nonsense.
I would keep an open mind when it comes to that, because I mean there are a million prophecies leading up to that, and you can debate the generation that it has to happen.
Well, I'll debate your million prophecies. That there's not a million prophecies.
Yeah, there is. What he said.
There's not even
Check out the parable of the fig trees. He says,
Oh, that one.
yeah. the earthquakes are like exponentially increased since the last 30 years. He said there will be
I don't know the
200
connection
check
because-
this one out. There will be 200 million man army in China, which is incredible because at this time there weren't even 200 million people on the planet.
China? China is mentioned in the Bible?
Oh yeah, it says the kings of the east will have an army.
Oh.
But that could be
We'll have
any
an army
country.
of
No,
200.
wait, you could be applying that to any nation east of Israel.
Oh, well,
You see,
Well, the
up
fact
and
that there is
including
a
all the way
king of the
around.
east that has a 200 million man
They
army.
have no king. It's communist.
Yeah.
What are you talking
And they don't
about?
have 200 million man army.
Yeah, they do.
No, they
China?
don't.
Sure they do.
They do not have
check your
200
facts.
million. Check your facts.
It's not exactly
There's not enough.
200 million, of course, but
Well, you
Well,
just.
what is
there
it?
might be one
You're-
guy
so
died
you're
yesterday.
interpreting.
You're.
It's not a thing is not a prophecy unless it's specific and it absolutely fits word for
Reaching.
word the
Reaching.
prediction.
Yeah,
That's not, then it's not a prophecy. then
can
it's
I-
speculation, when it's vague, it leaves you free to
And we get a bunch of
toy
calls,
with
yeah.
all these claims and vague speculations in your head and try to make it fit things that are actually happening.
Well, it's not. It can't be exact because I think
Well, if
Why
it were
not?
divine, it would
I thought
be.
I thought
if-
God
if-
was
if-
supposed to be omniscient.
if it said there's the kings of the east will have an army of 100,000.3 after this guy died. I mean, you can't have an exact.
Okay, I'll grant you that one. But you know, there is stuff like the East. That's a lot of things. They had no idea China even existed in Israel.
Well, the fact that
they
there's
had
a
an idea that they
200
were
million
like,
man army anywhere
the
is
East
pretty
was
miraculous.
India.
And-
India got a 2 million man army?
And by the way, Tim, I'm really sorry. We're running out of time, and I have a bunch of other callers backed up.
Okay.
Please call again, though.
I will.
We appreciate your input.
All right.
You take care. Have a good day. And he's right. We do love Austin. We're not here to bash Christians or anything else. We love y'all. Let's go on down to Alex. Good morning, Alex.
God rules.
Now, he calls every week, too.
Thanks for your input, Alex. We love you too. John's next. Oh, yes, John
Oh,
Koontz.
hello.
John?
Hey Ray, how's it going?
Excellent.
How's it going, Joe?
Okay.
Hey, do we have a board meeting today?
We
Yes.
sure do. Thanks for reminding me, yes. This is our monthly board meeting after the general meeting at the Hot Jumble Bakery.
I'm going to try to make it to that. I have a comment to make about something your last caller said,
Sure.
and I hear this frequently in school, talking about earthquakes.
Yes.
The amount of earthquakes is going up, and I know a lot of kids fall for this. And one of the most disgusting things about Christianity, to me, is that it frightens small children.
Good point.
And a lot of kids think that the world's about to come to an end because they actually think there's more earthquakes going on, and this somehow fulfills some kind of Bible prophecy. And I'd just like to point out that the reason it seems like there may be more earthquakes is we've got the equipment now to measure earthquakes. 200 years ago, we didn't have the equipment to measure earthquakes. We didn't
Right.
have as many people in communication with each other, and so obviously there would be earthquakes occurring all over the planet, all kinds of plagues and disasters and the rest of it that you would never hear about if you lived, let's say, here.
Excellent point. Our ability to report the earthquakes is actually increased, is what you're
And
saying.
detect them, too.
And I'd just like to say that because I hear this constantly. And
Thank you.
I know that last caller alluded to that, and I just think I really ought to point that out, that if you think it through, you'll realize that this whole idea of prophecies coming fulfilled is pure nonsense. Also, I'd point them in the direction of reading Age of Reason by Thomas Paine, and see how he went through and basically ripped apart all these silly prophecy ideas. Well, hey, I'm gonna get off the line here so you can get some other calls.
I appreciate your input, John.
Thanks.
And we'll see you down at Hot Jumble Bakery when we leave here. Okay, let's go on down to Martha.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just a real quick comment. I know you guys are getting ready to get off the air about the gentleman who was talking about the implants. Now, I'll admit I don't know very much about that. But
Okay.
the attitude that he had was, okay, here's a problem that we as human beings here on the planet are looking at, and he wants to run to church and ask God to solve the problem. Why aren't we looking at it, and why aren't we deciding, no, we don't want this?
Well,
You know, they want somebody else to take care of the problem instead of taking
Right.
care of the problem yourself. You know.
I think this might explain a lot of the political activism of Christians, because that would be the way that Christians would go about addressing these things is, elect their boys to the Oval Office.
All right, exactly.
And also, I'm going to make a comment real quickly. Some implants are good. So that's a good thing.
Caught me off guard there, Joe. I prefer the natural myself. Okay, let's go on down the line here. Unless you had another comment, I'm sorry. Martha?
No, that's okay. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and you have a great week. So.
We love y'all. Thank you.
For calling.
Thanks for calling, yes.
Eventually, I do have
You want to do our Unsung
Okay,
Atheist
sure.
of the Hero? Real quick? Caller, stay on the line. We will get to you. It's live September 13th, and we will get to the calls. Go ahead there,
Yes,
Joe.
it's live. Okay. This is something I try to do every week, and although I have been lax in this lately, but I'm going to try to kick this back in. This is my weekly Unsung Atheist Hero or Heroine of the Week, and my pick for this week is Chauncey Bell. Was born in 1901, and we're not exactly sure what year he died, but he's definitely dead. Okay, and he was a businessman and a philanthropist who was born in Ashland City, Tennessee, and was raised in a religious home. His stepfather valued church more than education, but later Chauncey attended Fisk University and the University of Chicago in 1923. He graduated there with an A.B. in 1928, but it did him little good at first since he was black. The only job he could get at that time was as a porter. He experienced incredible racism during his youth. When Chauncey was 14, he became an atheist. The first admitted atheist he had met was Madeline O'Hare. He became a life member of American Atheists in November of 1965. This is a more recent one. Usually, if you've been watching a lot and seen this, I usually go for atheists who lived a long time ago, but this one is a little more recent. Starting out as a porter at a cleaning plant, he devised better and more efficient ways to distribute chemicals to the companies that needed them. He went into business for himself, selling chemicals and cleaning compounds, and he always hired all kinds of people with no discrimination. He became financially independent and traveled the world, becoming very knowledgeable about foreign attitudes and religions. Always atheistic in his thinking, he enthusiastically promoted the American Atheist magazine. In 1985, he executed an irreversible trust on behalf of the American Atheist Center in the amount of $400,000. He designated the money to be used to fight ignorance. And we have a quote. Every time I do one of these, I try to get a quote from the person that I'm talking about. And here we go. Quote, "I like to tell religious people that when I die, when I meet God, I'm going to twist his arm around his whiskered neck and belt him right on his nog and say, 'You're the goddamn son of a bitch that's responsible for all this mess.'" Unquote. Thank you. That's my weekly Unsung Atheist Hero or Heroine of the Week, Chauncey Bell.
And I like the idea of fighting ignorance. That's what we're trying to do here each and every week, and with our group, our Atheist Community of Austin. I think it was Rob was next in line. Let's go on down to Rob.
People like you that are ruining this country. No, I'm just kidding.
Careful there. This close.
We almost cut you off, but go ahead.
Actually, I just want to know what your guys' views on the afterlife are. I know that, I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to atheism, but I think correct me if I'm wrong, but there's different types of atheism, and some people believe that there's an afterlife, but they don't know what it is.
Not any atheist I've met in our group.
It's technically possible to still believe in various supernatural thingies and be an atheist. As long as those supernatural thingies you believe in are not God. But the vast majority of atheists don't believe that kind of stuff.
I would disagree. I think there's a whole lot of supernatural things out there, thingies like that. And it's not just God that we don't believe in. Anything that can't be proven.
I agree, and I've never actually met
That's
one,
okay.
but let's not argue the definition here.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I just wanted to know if you guys actually believe that there was anything in the afterlife.
Nope. My personal belief is no. Jeff saying no. Joe?
No way.
I guess I'm just too vain not to believe that there's something greater than us.
I think it's pretty vain that the religious people think that the human race is so much more better than any other species here on Earth, that we are chosen species here. I just find that so vain.
Yeah.
If you don't want to wind up dead, then put your support behind medical research into life extension.
Cryogenics.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's all I want to know.
I appreciate your call. Let's go on down the line to Sue.
Hi. How are you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Great.
I just want to thank you for your show. I've heard about you because I've been watching the public access channels for a long time and saw another recent Austin Atheist show with blonde, beautiful people, appearances.
The Atheist Viewpoint. That's a national show.
Okay, that's what's going on. So it's not really an Austin show.
Right.
Well, I'm from the old Madeline days. I worked on her shows a couple of times and saw her appearance and the look of the show. And I just wanted to get your guys' impression on appearances of atheists and genders, cultures involved in atheism here in Austin? Is it really Anglo? Is it really female or male? What's going on in Austin appearance-wise? Because on the public access channels, you guys are a radical difference from the appearances of Madeline's days. And it's refreshing to see that atheists have come in different forms.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And our group is the larger percentage is actually male, and I find that unfortunate myself. We try to be open to all groups and all sexes and all races. We have a very low percentage of minorities represented in our group, and it's just unfortunate because I think the religious aspect has been so degrading towards women and minorities and everything else that I find it hard to believe that they put up with that and that they wouldn't be open to us. But we are very open to everyone in Austin. We have a couple homosexuals that are openly homosexuals in our group. They're very welcome in our group because, again, religions are very down on the homosexual community. And anybody else wants to answer a question?
That's something we share. In fact, a lot of the people we talk to and a lot of atheists find a connection with us immediately without even really communicating as soon as they find out what we are and who we are, simply because the one thing that we share with a lot of other groups is that they are also downtrodden and persecuted throughout the ages by religious people, and for basically the same reasons. It's that book. There it is. The Babble. And you can always find somewhere a kind of person who represents a group of people who have been persecuted by religionists.
Well, it's not just y'all's appearance, it's also your personality. Madeline was really hard and angry, and sometimes she would just lash it to people that would work with her the closest, like the TV crew, for example. Mm-hmm. And you guys seem different in your personality, at least first impression.
Thank you.
And so, well, I mean, not a put down or, a compliment to anyone, just saying, are all atheists the same as far as their motivation? For example, you guys are talking about how religion mistreats people, but how about the whole issue of just God separate from religion? Do atheists really not believe that there is a God, or is it mostly that they're anti-formal religion?
I'm sure there's some people in our group that are anti-religion. My own personal self I'm not anti-religion. I'm more pro-education and informing people, the fallacies that are in the Bible, and people think when they say Christians, I'm a Christian, they're saying all these good things. Well, I'm educating them all the bad baggage that they're carrying along with it, all the millions of people that have died in the name of God and everything else. They seem to forget all that part, and we're here to educate them. All the bad baggage that goes along with that title, Christian.
Yeah, Ray was saying that you can probably find people in our group who are anti-religion, but you're not going to find atheists who believe in God, which was, I guess, the other half of your question. Some people are anti-religion, some are not anti-religion, but still don't believe in God, and that would make them atheists.
Okay.
But you brought up an excellent point, because this question came up to me this week. Why am I so open about my atheism? And atheists, through the history, have had such a bad reputation and being associated with Satanism and everything else. It's my own personal goal to put a good face to atheists.
Well, how could you believe in the devil if that was also a religion? I mean, it's not just Christianity. Aren't atheists also interested in how all religions kind of affect people or maybe
exactly
direct some folks?
You're right there.
Well, thank you.
And we'd love to meet you in person. Come on down to, we meet every Sunday down at Hot Jumble Bakery when we leave here.
Great. I'll find out if the first impression is true. Thanks, guys.
You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent call. Let's go on down to Jim.
Hi, Baldy. Now,
who's our call screener today?
Goodbye, Jim. Let's go on down to Ed.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Excellent.
Good. I know there was a lot of excitement touched off, I guess it was earlier in this year, about a book called The Bible Code.
Yes.
And, I certainly can think of an easy way to refute that. if you take any large work of literature and you just happen to pick every other, 67th letter, you'll eventually come up with something.
Exactly.
So, but I haven't seen anything on the market, like a book per se, that refutes the Bible code. Have y'all heard anything about that?
I know there's some excellent websites, but I haven't seen a book refuting it.
Me either, but
I have a vague recollection there might be one.
But to continue that line of reasoning there, ancient Hebrew is all consonants. There's no vowels. So if you take all the vowels out of any book, like Moby Dick or whatever else, and you put all consonants in there, and then you go through there with a random number, like every 250th letter, and put all those consonants in there, you can fill in any vowels you want and make it come up to say anything you want. And so far, none of those... the author says that he predicted whose death, I'm trying to remember whose death, before it actually happened. But our contention is any of his predictions have never come true beforehand. They've always gone back and said, okay, Clinton got impeached or whatever else. They'll go back and pull up the Bible code and find that in there and search until they do find it. So none of his predictions have come true beforehand. Go ahead, Jeff.
Where's the camera?
Yeah, the camera's lost.
There we go.
Using the same techniques that were used in Drosnin, right? Michael Drosnin, isn't that his name? The Bible Code guy. Anyway, using those same techniques on this website I'm thinking of, they found phrases like Bible Code Big Lie. You can find
I like that. I hadn't heard that one. Any other comments?
Yeah, there was another thing. I just heard of something on the news the other day. I didn't get the full story. Supposedly, the Christian Coalition was going through Thomas Jefferson's papers and found something that cast doubt on his whole idea of the separation between church and state. Had y'all heard anything about that?
That's news to me. I'd like to... Oh, Joe's saying yes.
The Danbury letter was on display in Washington, D.C. I think it was the Library of Congress. This is the letter that has been used so many times to show Jefferson's willingness to erect a wall of separation between church and state, and it was basically a letter he wrote to a church congregation, the Danbury Baptists, and I'm not sure what state, and it's been pulled up, and the FBI actually got into it and decided to read it and read between the lines, I guess, and it was touted as a new look at the letter, and supposedly it no longer supported the separation because of the new wording that was found. Apparently he had an eraser with him and erased it off or something, and I never bought that. It's just simply trying to pick away at something that makes a lot of sense, and I just never could fathom that. But I have heard of that.
Right. But the reasoning behind that is because I've heard other people on the Access Channel claim that Thomas Jefferson was out of the country when the Constitution was written and everything else. The point was the Constitution was to give power to the government from the people. Up until that point, like the King of England and everything else, they always said the power came to the king through God. The United States gave its power to the government through the people, and that's the important part of the whole thing. And that's where the separation comes in. It doesn't. So the fact that Thomas Jefferson didn't contribute to the Constitution has no bearing on it, and that statement always bugged me.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. You have a good day. And I see other callers flashing through here. I haven't got any names yet, so...
I've got one little thing.
Oh, yeah, we got one more thing here. Go ahead.
Good news. The Pope is coming. That's right. Mark your calendars. January 25 and 26 of 1999. His Holiness, the Pope, will be coming to St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri. And American Atheists and several other free thought and atheist groups are planning to be there to meet him. If you don't know, the history of the Pope coming to the United States is ever since a Pope has first visited the United States, American Atheists has been there. And several other atheists. Well, this time there's going to be other groups involved, and they're going to make a big party out of it, apparently. I'm going to be there. St. Louis, Missouri, January 25 and 26 of 1999.
All right, let's go on down the line to John.
Hi, I met you guys a few weeks back. I went down to the Hot Jumble Bakery. I wanted to ask about the danger of America treating the Babble like it's the truth, and as a result, politicians using that against them and manipulating people with that. Excuse me, with that. For example, President Clinton comes out and apologizes and starts quoting the Bible, and he knows there are more Americans that are going to rely on faith rather than reason.
Good
he
point.
quotes the Bible and asks for forgiveness, and these faithful, predictably, don't want to be seen as being unforgiving. And your comment on the fact that the fact that they're relying on faith ends up weakening their minds.
Excellent point. Jeff had.
I thought it was particularly ironic that the Christian, the modern Christian idea of how a marriage should work and what the vows have to be is exactly the thing that Clinton ran afoul of in the first place. And it might be more honest of him to admit that, well, no, I don't actually follow those guidelines. But instead, he goes running into church to ask God for forgiveness.
I think it's very important to note out that Clinton was very religious before, during, and after this little thing. And he's not going to become any less religious because he's a little less moral or whatever. But
it's unfortunately the theocratic right is so well organized that our politicians are out there begging for their votes. And if the atheists would be better organized and a voting bloc, they would then come begging for our votes.
There's something going on with the Southern Baptist leader who's
well, the president of the Southern Baptist.
What's that?
The president of the Southern Baptist Church, which is Clinton's own church, has been on television saying that Clinton should resign.
Yes.
No, this is not. Those aren't the people I'm thinking of. There's some other Baptist group where their president is being investigated for embezzling and extortion or all kinds of weird things, and he's come forward being all sorry for what he did, and his group is now supporting Clinton on the basis that, well, we're forgiving our own leader his indiscretions, but their leader's indiscretions are like, embezzlement.
It's just unbelievable. Anyway, thanks for letting me ask my question.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for calling.
Yes. Let's go on down to Skip. Skip.
Yes. I think you all have a great show, and I watch it every Sunday.
All right.
Thank you.
I got a question. Sure. I'm kind of wondering, with all these biblical prophecies and Bible code speculations and stuff, has anybody ever found out how many mistakes these prophets have made in their predictions rather than always concentrating on how many things they got right? It might be interesting to do a statistical analysis if that information is available.
You're absolutely right, and we've pointed out on the show several times where Jesus himself prophesied that the end would come within the generation of the people that were standing there, and it's in Matthew and everything else, and they'll deny it. Right, and it's like, no, that's not. Matthew misquoted Jesus or something. And there's also a favorite one of mine, and I don't have the quote right here, but they actually saying Jesus is fulfilling a prophecy from the Old Testament, and you go back to the Old Testament, and you can't find that prophecy anywhere in the Old Testament. So that's an excellent exercise for anyone in the group or anyone that would love to do that. I'd love to hear the results. You got an excellent point.
It would be interesting.
Yes, it would be. Anything else you'd like to contribute?
Not at this time, except that I think that a lot of those so-called miracles in the Bibles are absolutely, totally against the physical laws of nature, and I just have never seen it myself.
Yes.
Like snakes coming to life, from a stick and all that kind of stuff. People see waters parting. That, and to me that seems like totally anti-physical nature, and I don't see how it could possibly happen.
Exactly. Well, we do appreciate your call, and like I said, we meet every Sunday at the Hot Jumble Bakery, and you're more than welcome to come on down.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm leaving town soon, but moving, but I sure appreciate the invitation.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, like I said, it is live September 13th here. We love hearing from everyone there in Austin, and we'd like to hear somebody that would call and defend the Bible besides Tim. We did have one caller that was defending the Bible there. And we have a Ray. Let's see.
He's not ready yet.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's 2.
I'm sorry.
He's ready?
Well, I like the name.
Okay, go for it. Hey.
Okay. Let's go. Ray?
Yeah. Some of the miracles in the Bible, they've been explained, such as the burning bush. Over there in the east, there's a bush that secretes a volatile fluid or oil, and it will burn for about 5 minutes without burning the bush.
I've heard that.
It would seem like a burning bush. And
interesting.
It's perfectly in nature. Also, the parting of the Red Sea, Napoleon crossed the Red Sea also. there's a sandbar there that when the events are just right, or rather the weather's just right, or whatever, the sandbar is unrevealed, and it looks like there's two things of water. It looks like a, parting of the sea.
Well, thank you for that. That's a new one on me. I did not know Napoleon actually.
Oh yeah, most of the Tower of Babel.
Right.
When they built the Tower of Babel, they heard voices, blah, 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 blah. Well, when they built the tower, they built it out of the sand, which had crystals in it. Well, duh, when you build something that big with crystals, you're going to hear stuff from radio signals. So they were receiving radio signals from somewhere, where, I don't know. Here comes your alien thing or whatever.
Okay.
UFOs.
But, I mean, come on. All these things to be explained. I mean, give me a break. Jonah in the belly of a whale. Now, you and I know that no one can live in the belly of a whale. It's physically impossible. Give me a break.
Yeah, supposedly he was in there for several days.
Well, back then, they didn't know how to explain things like that. Today, we could explain it as a submarine. You can go into the belly of a submarine, talk to God, whatever, come back out. Duh.
Well, but whether or not there was a submarine at that time, it is a whole nother theory.
There was a lot of things at that time. People just didn't know how to explain things back then.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but
Ignorance over intelligence. That's all it comes down to. Ignorance over intelligence. Like I told my mom one time, I said, if somebody appeared right in front of you, just appeared out of thin air and told you they were Jesus or God, would you believe them? And she said, yes. And I said, why? I said, wouldn't you ask questions? Wouldn't you wonder how that was done? Today, being that we can understand how molecules can be taken apart, put back together, reassembled rather, sent somewhere else and reassembled, that's so far beyond her. To her, that's magic. But you and I can comprehend something like that.
I'm not sure we can do that
Actually,
yet.
what can be done at this point is individual particles. The characteristics of individual particles can be transmitted from one particle to another.
Are you talking like biological, or are you talking about...
No, I'm talking. This is a quantum mechanics effect. They haven't. We cannot yet
reassemble.
Do a Star Trek transporter an entire molecule. And in fact, all we can do is take one particle over here that has this kind of spin, and another particle over here that has that kind of spin, and take this spin and duplicate it over there.
You have no idea what our government has. Oh my God.
Well.
Yes,
we got a UFO
they have $500 toilet seats.
We do appreciate you calling, and I'm running out of time, and I have other callers on the line.
All right.
Please call again.
Let's not forget, it's entirely possible for people to hear voices without having to invoke alien space signals.
We also need to say our website.
Oh, yes. Just a reminder, we do have a website. Kellen Von Hauser does a wonderful job on that. Go ahead, Joe.
www.atheist-community.org. Ooh.
Yes, and we're going down to Mike.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Excellent.
Right. Hey, I just turned on your show this morning, and I was just flipping through the channels, and was kind of wondering. I mean, what's your whole angle, man? I mean, why don't y'all believe in God? I mean, what's the problem?
We don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, you called right towards the end of the show there.
One good reason, like what has happened in your life.
It has nothing to do with what has happened in my life. It has to do with what I have not seen in my life, and that's evidence that there is a God. And there are all kinds of things that might exist, but it makes no sense to believe in them until you have evidence that they do.
And that all the atrocities that have been committed in the name of God, that I find very offensive.
Man, I mean, God said that himself. I mean, more people will be killed in his name than any other reason. I mean, man,
right?
That's been going on since the beginning of time, man. People
why mess with
dying
it?
for Christ and dying for God.
So why don't we learn from our past mistakes and go beyond that?
And just drop it.
Man, I mean, there's so many things happening right now that are directly pointing to the end of time. I mean, you have so much evidence. I mean, it all began. I mean, it didn't just really begin. It began with just back in the 1700s, man, with the Enlightenment period. I mean, that was a period in which, Enlightenment. I mean, everybody's getting smarter. I mean, inventions and all that type of thing, man. That was really the beginning of the end of time, right now.
The other caller, the other Christian caller.
Now, can we? That's a bad thing.
The other caller said it was when Israel was founded.
Oh, I mean, that was just one major event. I mean, 1948. I mean, that was the event during this generation that's really signifying the end.
One out of many.
What was that?
One out of many events of such size.
I mean, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot.
These predictions of the end times.
What about the financial crisis going on in Europe over there? I mean, man, you've never heard of man being in such a...
Excuse me? Sir? Can I interrupt you for just a second? These predictions of the end times have been being made practically, every year since the beginning of Christianity. people are always looking at things going around and saying, well, this reminds me of a prediction in the Bible that says the end is near, and people have believed the end is near for 2,000 years now. So, there's no particular reason to think, oh, this time it really is.
Oh, that's true. It could go on for another 1,000 years.
Exactly.
I mean, no one ever knows, but, the one thing that, God said, or Jesus, he said, watch, be ready, because no one knows the hour or the time. I mean, it could come 10 minutes from now, it could be
or
300 years from now,
We also believe Jesus is a fable also, so feel free to believe all the myths and fables that you really like. We are based in reality, and we'd like to go on down to the mother's callers. I'm down to less than 5 minutes. You have a good day. Let's go on down to Ray's back again, but we're not gonna have time to go him. We're just go to Lilo. Is that how you pronounce Lilo?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Excellent.
I just wanted to know I'm a Christian. I'm a Roman Catholic. I don't believe in the Pope, but I really do appreciate the way you guys challenge Christianity, and I believe in God.
I know the Pope exists.
I know he exists, but he's probably in another world. I just want to know,
sure.
Do you believe in other deities, like in Buddha and any other religion?
No.
Buddha was supposedly a man.
Yeah, but now he's like a god in that religion.
I'm not sure of that.
Like in Hinduism, do you believe in that? In those religions?
No.
No.
6 arms is way too many.
I just have a comment. I just wanted to say, I think if you look at the Bible,
sure,
it's a very symbolic form of literature, and you have to take it as its face. You can't take it as a literal thing that happened. We don't know if the Philistines even existed because there's no proof that they existed. But you just have to believe the story of Samson.
Why do we have to? Why do we have to?
You don't have to. You can believe what you want to believe. But I don't feel praying is begging. I believe praying is a form of how to regroup your thoughts. And I really do appreciate the way you guys challenge.
All right. We have a bunch of calls. You take care.
All right.
Let's go on down to Lil. I don't know how you pronounce
Leticia?
it. Leticia?
Yes.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, that sign there says praying is begging.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the many signs.
You like that?
No, I don't. Praying is
well,
not
let's go back
begging.
to it.
Go ahead. Your comment?
Sorry.
Praying is a form of trying to get what you want, and God does answer your prayers. So
it sounds like begging to me.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
What's the difference?
It's a miracle. I mean, if something happens in your life, and then God gives it to you, that's a miracle. Like if something bad happens, you know what I'm saying?
I like this one better.
You can beg for a miracle. It doesn't stop it from being
Not
begging.
begging. No.
Hands that help are better than lips that pray.
Or beg.
And well,
Quickly,
let
we
me
got
ask you
2
this.
minutes.
How do y'all think you got here?
Mom and Dad had sex.
Oh.
I'm
yeah.
willing to bet that your parents had sex too.
Oh yeah, but God put the baby inside the mom, so hello.
No, in fact, we know all about how sperms and eggs come together and form the initial cell that develops into a being, and that's well known.
Yeah.
There is no indication of cosmic hands reaching into the womb and making a baby.
Well, that God has something to do with that, so you know.
Well,
I don't know that.
Yeah, you do.
Can't find him first.
What are you doing telling me what I know? I
Have
don't
you
know
read
any
the
such
Bible?
thing.
Have you ever read the Bible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well
Does it
then,
mean
how do you
anything?
think Adam and Eve got here then?
I don't believe in Adam and Eve.
They were written into a story. Somebody was drunk, and now we have.
Read Lord of the Rings?
I'm really sorry.
Bilbo Baggins got there.
Yeah, that's a good book. In fact, I'd rather read that.
Okay, I please call again. We love your call. We got to go. We're running down to a few minutes here. Is this the same Ray it was before?
Yeah, how you doing?
Okay, quickly, got a minute.
I mean, Adam and Eve, they had Cain and Abel. How did they have kids? Give me a break.
Right. Incest.
I got to go. Have a good time.
Something you might want to check out
Sure,
is
quickly.
the Egyptian Bible. Their Gospels are almost identical to our Bible.
Thank you.
I don't think I could handle another one.
Yeah, let's go. Quickly, we are going to the Hot Jumbo Bakery as soon as we leave here. Elizabeth?
Yes, I was going to say, you have a lot to say about praying is begging, right?
Correct.
So, to me, it's a form of communication between you and the Lord. If you think you're all that, why don't you try walking on water?
Well, I don't know.
Have you known anybody to walk on water? Can you walk on water?
Yes, as a Christian,
I'm
It's
17
not-
years old. I believe
Invite her to the next show.
in the Bible.
I think we can arrange a bathtub or something.
We will give
You say
you
read the
center
Bible.
stage to
Have
do
you
that.
Have
Huh?
you ever read the part where Jesus walked in water? Have you read that part?
Yes.
I laughed. I cried.
Oh, you laughed and cried? Then how did the river just, when Moses...
Again, it was
It's
written
a
down.
story.
It was written down. That's
It's
how
a
it happened.
fable. It's myth. It's
There's thousands of fiction stories out there.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry I'm cutting you off here.
Oye, me dio una fiebre el otro día por causa de tu amor cristiano.